Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Forum. I appreciate you guys. I want you to know that. I'm going to turn the time over to Matt. Matt was a former student here who has been working with Jodi Vawdrey at Northwest Mutual for a couple of years. And he's going to introduce Jodi Vawdrey. Let's give a hand to Matt and Jodi Vawdrey.
Thank you very much. I was a student. I've sat in several of these seats in this exact classroom here at the community college. I think it's a great place to get your education. You've got great professors and staff that are here to help you and help you learn and grow. Jodi Vawdrey has worked with Salt Lake Community College for almost 10 years, going to different classes and giving presentations and helping students as they're building their businesses, as well as helping them provide financial planning and support. Jodi was a tax preparer for 12 years before becoming a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual, and graduated from Salt Lake Community College as well. So give it up to Jodi Vawdrey, and she's going to talk to you today.
So most of my classes are in the morning, and I have to throw candy to keep people awake. Are you guys awake today? Good, good. So how many of you have heard of Northwestern Mutual? Okay, so Northwestern Mutual, we're a financial services firm. We're the #1 financial services company out there. We work with individuals like yourself and business owners to create a strategy to become financially secure. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you make $2,000 a year or $20 million a year. Your financial issues are the same. You just have a different number of zeros behind your income and expenses, right? So what I'm going to focus on today is, it's a little bit different presentation. I've only done it once here at the college, and it's talking about how to have a successful business. Like Matt said, I was a tax preparer for 12 years and a financial advisor for 10 years. So I've seen a lot of really great businesses and really great business owners fail. What percentage of businesses do you think fail? Small businesses? 60%. It's about 80%. Yeah, 8 out of 10 small businesses fail, and I'll tell you some of the reasons that I've seen why that fails. But before I get started, how many of you hope to have your own business at some point? Okay, it's becoming more and more common to have your own business, not only just that be your sole living, but have a side business as well. Okay, so when you start thinking about putting together a business or starting a business, I'm going to tell you the very first thing you need to do is have a strong personal financial circumstance. Because that's one of the reasons that most small businesses fail, is they're not secure personally. They're not prepared to go into business. A lot of people who start businesses are really good at what they do. You'll have a mechanic. He's a great mechanic, right? And so I can make a whole lot more money doing this by myself than working for someone, right? So he goes out and starts a business. Well, he doesn't know how to run a business, and he's not a financial expert. Right? So you need to build a team around you, and one of your most important teams is a financial advisor. And at the end of the meeting, I'll talk to you about how to find a good financial advisor. But your team should include a financial advisor and a good tax preparer or a CPA, accountant, those types of things. How many of you as individuals think you need a financial advisor? One of the biggest myths is I have great benefits at work, or I don't have any money, so I don't need a financial advisor. That's so not true, right? You need to have someone help you wade through the benefits at work to make sure that you're picking what you should and not buying what you shouldn't. And then if there are gaps, help you fill those gaps elsewhere. Does that make sense? And if you don't have money, when's the best time to create a plan? When you don't have money. Then when the money comes, you know right where it's going to go, right? Have any of you actually looked like at your tax return when you've done your year-end return and said, oh, I made $20,000, I made $30,000, and you said, where did it all go? Right? That's what a lot of us do. Because if you don't have a plan, you'll spend your money, but you just won't know where it goes. It's like a bucket with holes. It just kind of seeps out. Does that make sense? Okay, so how do we create a good financial plan? Like I said, if you make $2 million or $2,000, the roadmap is the same. And this is how you start a good financial plan. You have to have a good foundation. Just like building a house, you have to have a solid foundation. And this is protecting the things that you can least afford to lose. So things like medical insurance, emergency savings. Let's talk about these. Death insurance, income protection. So we all know what medical insurance is, right? One of the biggest things I see happen with business owners is they go out and start a business and they have no health insurance because they can't afford the premiums. Why is that a big mistake?
Because if you get sick, then you have to cover those expenses.
Right. It doesn't do a lot of good to have $5,000 in the bank, even $10,000 in the bank to start this business if you don't have health insurance, because you can have one simple incident just wipe it away. And all of a sudden you've spent all your money and you've lost your business, right? You've lost your customers. If you have employees, you've lost your employees, right? But it happens so often. So if you get your health insurance in place before you even start your business, and there's some changes with health insurance. Why was it difficult to get it in the past? Do you guys have any idea? What were too expensive? And health issues, right? A few years ago, I tried to get my niece and nephew health insurance, and they had a little boy who'd had 4 ear infections. Ear infection is not that big a deal, right? It's just antibiotic, but the insurance company declined them. So in the past, it was hard to get insurance if you had any kind of health issue, right? If you'd been to the chiropractor or whatever. Is that still an issue now? No, everybody can get health insurance, right? Everybody can get health insurance. The other issue was cost, right? What is the Affordable Care Act supposed to do to address that? Yeah, so if you qualify, the government is going to pay a portion of your health insurance premiums for you. So it becomes affordable. Does that make sense? So maybe if we have time at the end, if you guys have questions, we can answer those, because there's always a lot of questions about health insurance. But that's an important thing to have in place. Long-term care. Does anybody know what long-term care is? Or what that would do or mean? Okay, so you start thinking about this more when you get older. So it's one of the final pieces to retirement planning. But have any of you had a grandma, a neighbor need some care in their elderly years, either in the home or go into an assisted living facility or even in a nursing home? Those type of, that type of care is not provided by regular health insurance. Okay? Emergency savings. How much emergency savings should you have?
6 months plus.
Okay, 3 to 6 months of your expenses, right? And you don't have to raise your hands, but how many people really have that? Okay, for a lot of people, that's super hard to do. Okay, now if you're a business owner on top of that, what should you have?
Your business expenses.
Your business is its own entity. It's its own person, right? It has its own expenses. So you need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved for your business as well. Okay? That is probably one of the number one reasons businesses fail, is they don't have cash flow to get them through the down times. They don't have the emergency savings, the inefficient, liquid, not earning anything emergency savings to get them through the ups and downs of the economy or the season or if you lose a key employee. I mean, there's lots of things that could come up with a business why you need some extra cash flow, right? So where should that emergency savings be? Where should you put it? Where should you save it? Should you invest it in the stock market?
No.
Okay, it needs to be in something really liquid. So when you invest, you get to pick three things. You can have liquidity, you can have rate of return, or you can have safety. But you typically don't get all three. You only get two. Okay, so for your emergency savings, you need liquidity and safety, right? So you're not going to get a high rate of return. Okay, so does that mean you absolutely have to wait until you get your 6 months saved before you start business? Not necessarily, right? But you have to have a system in place to continually build that. Give me an example of a system in place to help build your emergency savings.
X amount of income per month, you've already got it earmarked to move to a different account.
Yeah, you've heard the saying, pay yourself first. Does any of us do it? That's one of the most important things you can do. When you go to the bank and you deposit a check, take 10% and put it in an account, out of sight, out of mind. Forget that you have it. Take 1%, take 2%, take 5%. I don't care what it is, but do something. Pay yourself first, set it aside. You'd be surprised at how quickly that builds up. And that's probably something you'll always do, because as you grow, right, and as your business grows, your expenses are going to go up, right? As you get married, have kids, buy a house, your expenses go up, right? Do you need emergency savings in retirement? Yeah, you do. You can still have a roof that needs repaired, or a traffic accident that totals your car, or if all your retirement paycheck is coming out of 401k that's invested in the market and the market tanks, maybe you don't want to pull it out of there. You pull it out of your emergency savings. So you're always going to need emergency savings, always. So if you just keep that as a consistent build, you're going to have a much better chance of success at whatever you do, personally, professionally, self-employed. Okay? What is income protection?
Disability insurance?
Okay, so one way to protect your income is disability insurance. So income protection, what that says is if I can't work or can't produce an income, how do I protect my business, my family, right? So if you get sick or injured and can't work for 6 months, how does that affect you personally? If that happened to you right now, how would that affect you personally? Okay, so you wouldn't have money to pay your bills, right? And 3 to 6 months, some people can get through. You can borrow money from parents or neighbors or whatever. But if that happened for a year or two, how would that affect you? That's the number one cause of bankruptcy in the state of Utah is medical. So different ways to protect your income. Number one is to have emergency savings, right? Another way to do that is to have disability insurance, okay? And then there's a couple other strategies. You know, if you've got a stream of income coming in from your business or from rental property and you get sick, maybe you can earmark part of that, cut back on expenses. But it's something to think about. What happens if you've grown this business and you have 3 employees and you get sick or injured and can't work? Okay, if your employees can't fill the gap, and they're not going to be able to fill the gap, right? Because you're the business, and if you could not be there, then you wouldn't be there, right? You'd be on permanent vacation and have your employees work for you. The income's going to go down. And do you have enough income to pay your employees? Well, if you don't have enough income to pay your employees, now you're not only affecting your business and your family, but you're impacting their family as well, right? So lots of things to think about with that. What's death protection? Okay, so that's if you pass away, right? If you die too soon. So you're earning a living to be able to pay the house payment and groceries. If you die, you're not there to provide that income to pay those expenses for your family, right? Okay, same for your business. Okay, how many of you have thought about going into a partnership? Okay, if you go into a partnership, there are some things that you really need to think about with that, right? So if you have two people working the business, let's say Charles and I start this business together. We're going to sell really cool Duck Commander hats, not theirs, but our own really cool ones, right?
Copyright infringement, we can't do that.
So we're in business together and we're making a lot of money, and then something happens to him and he gets killed. What happens to his share of the business?
It gets liquidated and goes to you.
It could go to you, it could go to his family.
Depends where it was earmarked for.
Okay, so if there's nothing in place, what will happen is his wife will inherit the business, right? Or whoever.
Have a trust anyways.
So if nothing was in place, your wife would inherit the business, right? Or whoever his personal beneficiaries are going to inherit the business. Do I want to be in business with his wife? No, she's a nurse. She doesn't know anything about Duck Commanders. She doesn't like it, right? So you have to set up an agreement that says if something happens to him, when she inherits the business, I have the first right to buy his share of the business. Does that make sense? Where do I come up with the money to buy that?
Liquidate your capital.
Okay, and most people don't have the cash flow in the business, right? Because the cash flow is being reinvested into inventory, into equipment, and then to pay us a salary, right? That's why we're in business, to have income, right? So if I just need it, and so if you say liquidate my share of the capital or take it out of the business, I still only have a half of that. She has the other half, right? How do I do that? Well, the easiest way is to have life insurance. So I have a life insurance policy on him that says his share of the business is worth $200,000. If he passes away, I get $200,000 to buy out his heirs. Make sense? What if we're in partners and he becomes disabled? He hurts his back. Okay, we're partners. We've known each other for 20 years. I don't want his family to lose their house. That lasts 3 months.
Depends on if you buy it in the long term.
They don't have true long term.
They used to.
So, but that is a type of insurance, right? So if you have insurance in place, then that insurance can start providing an income for two things. Number one, we want to protect his family, right? Because I don't want his family that I know, love, and care about to lose their house, but I don't want to lose my business because I'm paying him a salary when he's not here producing, right? But then he's also been working in the business, and if I didn't need him, he wouldn't be there. So I need to also replace him, right? So I have two big needs I need to fill there. And there's lots of different kinds of insurance. And then if he's disabled for a long time, then I need to get him out, right? He needs to be out because he's not coming back to the business. I need a partner that can come and help me grow the business.
Well, there's drawbacks to that as well, because if your disabled partner doesn't want to sell out his part, that's where you bring in an interim partner to replace him for such time until he is better.
Yeah, assuming he's going to get better, but I'm talking about if he doesn't get better.
Wow, you're just making me want to die.
So how do you deal with all these issues ahead of time? Because if you're trying to deal with them when it happens, I mean, it doesn't feel good to talk about it ahead of time, does it? He's really getting offended here. Imagine if you're going through it and have to deal with it. right? If he's hurt his back and he's on pain pills and going to physical therapy 3 or 4 hours a day, and he's not really functioning, and I'm saying, you know what, you're just milking it. You need to come back to work. Who decides? Who's the mediator and comes up to that? Well, if you have an insurance policy, you can defer to the language in the insurance policy, or defer to an underwriter or whoever's going to dictate that policy, right? So that's your risk management. So when you think of risk management, think of football, right? In football, you need an offense and a defense. You can't win without both, right? So in financial planning, your defense is your risk management. Your offense is your wealth accumulation. So retirement savings, saving to start a business, saving for your children's education, that's the fun stuff, right? But it takes both to have those. Okay? And then once you've got a good plan in place, then you need to think about how you're going to take the money out and spend it later down the road, right? You have any questions so far? So that's the personal side of it, but it kind of melds into the business side of it. So there's a business checklist, and I'm not going to go into a lot of this business checklist, but it's the same kind of foundation. You know, if you have employees, you need to make sure your employees are protected, right? Because benefits are a way to attract and retain employees. If I have a key person, let's say Charles and I are in business, and Brenda is really our office kind of manager, and she's coordinating, she's direct sales, she's coordinating with Target and Walmart to get our product in there, right? And she's built that relationship. She's a key person in my business. If something happens to her, if she goes to a competitor, if she gets sick or injured, how's that going to affect my business?
She knows the business trade, and if you don't have an agreement where she can't share those policies and things in your business, she could drown your business by giving those informations to competitors. So
what he's talking about is a non-compete clause, right? If she goes to my competitor, she can't tell my secrets. But if she gets sick or injured and can't work, right, she's still the relationship person at Target, right? And if they've had someone else in there kind of sweet talking them and my person's gone, what's the chances of me losing that account, right? So those are your key people that you need to take care of, and then you need to take care of your owners, right? Because why do you start a business?
Because you love it and you don't want to work for somebody else.
Okay, you love it. You don't want to work for somebody else to make money, to provide an income, right? And you want to be the business owner. You just don't want a job in your own business, right? You know what I'm talking about like that? So when I'm saying you start a business and then you just end up having a job working for Jodi Vawdrey business instead of Target, sorry, maybe not a good example, but I'm on that. So Target, Target tells me when to work and when not to work. If I don't structure my business and have a business owner hat on, then I'm going to be working like I did at Target, but 3 times the hours and doing everything, right? Because I'm not only doing the job that I like to do, mechanic or whatever, but now I got to do the marketing. I got to do the accounting. I've got to do the hiring, the firing, the shipping, what else? You're doing everybody's job, right? So you got to keep that in mind as you're building your business, is that eventually you want to be the owner and just have that title of owner, right? And surround yourself. And if you want to do the mechanic work, that's fine, but then you need to have key people that are doing all those that you can trust, that know what they're doing, right? And in the end, are you going to get out of business?
You can.
Okay, you said you can.
If you're tired with a business, you can sell it off to somebody else, liquidate your assets, and retire.
Okay, I'm going to say you absolutely will. get out of business? Why will you absolutely will get out of business? Okay, maybe not absolutely, but 99%, right? 98%. Why are you going to get out of business?
You want to enjoy the rest of your life.
Well, most people want to retire, right? And maybe getting out of business means you just slow down to 1 day a week, but you're out on some level. You know what I mean? So you want to make a good income while you're young, but then most people want to exit the business. They want to retire. Does that make sense? Would you guys agree with that?
Sell your shares off.
Okay, so I'm gonna flip to the last page, and then we'll go back a little bit. So there's lots of reasons you're gonna exit the business. Okay. We've talked a lot about death, right? You may exit the business by dying too soon. Okay? You may exit the business because you've become permanently disabled, right? You may exit the business because you are retiring, right? Retire might be 55 and out. It might be 65 and phasing out. Might be 72. Retirement can mean anything to you that it wants, right? There are other reasons that you might get out of business. What other reasons might you get out of business?
Personal hardship.
Okay, so personal hardship. If I'm going along and get pregnant and have a baby and have a disabled child, might I not have the time to spend in the business, right? Last year, 2 years ago, I invested in a business with a partner, and then last year my mom passed away and my mother-in-law fell and broke her back and had to move in with us. So again, a family hardship. I had to take care of a lot last year and didn't have the time to be in the business that I needed to be in the business. What other reasons might you exit the business?
It's a general change in lifestyle. So got married and stuff like that. Maybe a business that travels too much, not conducive to being married.
Perfect. So get married, get divorced, right? How about just another opportunity? Okay? I'm kind of tired of duck commanders. I want to do bikinis. I don't know. You know, you might find another opportunity that you want to do. So when you start your business, this may seem counterintuitive, but when you start your business, you need to start planning your exit. Why do I say you need to do that in the beginning?
It keeps a path for you that you have the long-term vision to not tie yourself into other things that would restrict you. Kind of keep that avenue open to that exit while you're developing your business.
Yeah, because we know we're going to get somewhere in life, right? But if you look at what you want, you're more likely to get there than you are just anywhere, right? If I get out in the car and get it on the road, I'm going to get somewhere. But is it going to be the Jazz game or where I really want to go? You know what I mean? It will also dictate your growth, right? If your goal is to work the business and then sell it for $5 million, that's going to be a different growth in that business than if I want to make a really good living, have some good employees, and then retire at 55 or 60, right? I may not grow as big if I'm not looking to sell it for $5 million, right? I may have one boutique store versus 10 retail stores, right? I may have all online versus brick and mortar.
Jodi,
Yes?
what about reviewing your goals and your business objectives with your partners or whoever? How often would you do that?
At least annually.
Meeting of minutes.
Okay.
You need to review your goals annually, and your goals and vision should start with your values. Who could, and I want to give you a minute right now, see if you can take just a minute and write down your top 4 values. So when I'm talking about a value, I might value honesty. I might value integrity. I might value being on time. Okay, it may be family. Take a minute and write down what you think your top 4 values are. And if you've never thought about it, it might be a little bit of a challenge. Even if you've thought about it but not thought about it in those terms. Because if you start with what you value, then you can identify what's really most important to you. And you can see if your goals really are what you want to do. Because sometimes we have goals because that's just what we're expected to do, or that's what we think we're supposed to do. And I'll give you an example. I had a gal who had a goal of winning a marathon, right? One of her goals was to win a marathon. When she actually sat down and thought about why is that important to me, she had no reason. It was just there. It was just something. And she said, if I don't have a real reason to accomplish that, why is that a goal? Why not focus my energy on something that's really more important, right? So yeah, you should review your goals annually, and they should be based on what's important to you. Because money is just a tool to help you accomplish what's most important to you. Being in business, it's just a tool. It's not your identity. It's not your life. It's just a tool to help you accomplish what's most important. And thank you for bringing that up, because you got to focus on what's most important. And I'll give you an example. Your values dictate your actions whether you know it or not. So one of my most important values is family. Okay, that's my most important one. And when you start a business, you have to put in a ton of hours, right? So that was a real challenge for me to balance being in business and family time, because I knew I had to be there running my business, building my business, but it also took me away from my family. So I had to have the vision to know that eventually this business would give me more time with my family. Okay? But if I didn't tie those two together, I might say I want 10 retail stores in 10 years, and if I haven't thought about how that impacts my value, it may take me away from my family for 10 years. And I just wake up one day 10 years later and go, okay, I accomplished my goal, but what does it mean now? You know what I mean? A lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. This page right here gives you the life cycle of a typical business. So each business has a startup, a growth, a maturity, and a transfer phase. So at some point, the business is going to transfer. Whether you choose when that happens or it happens out of circumstance, the business is going to transfer, right? What are some ways that you're going to transfer the business?
Selling out to a competitor.
Okay, you can sell out to a competitor.
Selling to one of your employees.
Selling to one of your employees. What do you think the most common business owner transfer is?
Bankruptcy.
Kids. Transferring it to your kids. Okay? And if that's one of your goals, I would challenge you to find out if that's one of your kids' goals. Right? And are they doing it just because it's expected, just because they've worked in the business since they were 12, right? And that's all they know, and that was just an assumption? Or is it something they really enjoy? I don't know the exact statistic, but there's a really large percentage of businesses that fail with second generations. What might contribute to that?
No passion for it.
Yeah, if they don't have an interest, if they don't have a passion.
Personalities in their parents.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of that aspect of they weren't there for the pain of building the business, so they don't understand the benefit that it is today. So that kind of losing that focus of not steering the direction, not steering the business like they should, not putting the effort in that they should, because they just came in when it was already just gravy and wonderful, and didn't have to go through the hardships of building it.
Yeah, so they, like you said, they haven't gone through the hardship and the struggles of growing the business. All they're stepping into is the fun parts. You know, my husband does road construction, and he's worked himself up that he's not doing hard labor. He's a superintendent, so he drives around in the truck. And the kids tease him all the time, yeah, you've got a really easy job. Well, he had 20 years of back-breaking work that they didn't see. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right on that. Okay, so as a business owner, right? Sorry, I'm jumping around here. As a business owner, you have your personal needs, right? And your business is going to be one of your biggest assets, probably. Wouldn't you think? For most business owners, it is. Okay? So you've got your personal needs, you've got your business needs, but one of the cool things that you have is, as a business owner, you have a lot more tools to solve all of those needs. Let me give you an example. Retirement savings. Oh, we got to talk about the internship too. Let me take a quick break and talk about the internship. I just want to make you aware of the internship. Northwestern Mutual has a top 10 internship. That's how I got introduced to Northwestern Mutual. I was a student here, and someone from Northwestern Mutual came and spoke. And I hadn't really thought about doing an internship, but it turned out to be a great opportunity. This is Lindsay. She's new to Northwestern Mutual. She's the recruiter, right?
Yeah, I'm your guys' campus recruiter. I've been with Northwestern for, I think this is my 3rd week. Northwestern Mutual's internship is rated one of the top 10 in America by Forbes magazine, and it has been for 18 years. And the reason why it does so well is because you're doing what the financial reps, the full-time financial reps would be doing. So you'll be working with clients, networking to get your clientele, setting your own appointments. So it does take a lot of self-discipline and self-motivation. The great thing about it, though, is the schedule is very flexible. You get to pick your hours, so works really well with the school schedule. You're not expected to work a certain amount a week. However, we've noticed at least 15 to 20 is beneficial. Matt could probably give you more information on like a day-to-day what to expect. It is a paid internship. It's paid by stipends and commission. So if you would like any more information, feel free to email me or call me. And then we also have a sign-up sheet.
I'll pass that around.
Okay.
So what we do in this class is I have 2 sign-up sheets. How many of you are working right now to get through school? Okay. So if you're working, the internship might be a good opportunity for you because it is paid, right? It's paid. If you're planning on starting a business, it teaches you how to be self-employed, disciplined, because you really do set your own schedule. So if you're interested in finding out more about the internship, I'm going to pass around a sign-up sheet, and then Lindsay will contact you and answer any questions that you have. And then the other thing that I do when I come into the classes is if you want to sit down with me or someone from my team and talk about personal finance, setting up a business, if you have any questions at all, there's no cost to sit down and meet with us. We just do that to kind of get you a heads up. We can look at your benefits, anything like that. Okay, so we'll be passing these around. Do you guys have any questions on the internship? Okay. So going back to this, as a business owner, whether you have a big business or just a little side business, you have a lot of opportunities to do things that you need because you're a business owner. So I'll give you an example. What are some ways that you can save for retirement? As an individual, what are some ways that you can save for retirement?
IRA, 401k.
Okay, so an IRA you can do on your own, right? How much can you contribute to an IRA?
$6,000 a year, depending.
Yeah, it's around $5,500, $6,000. Okay. A 401k, where are you able to contribute to a 401k as an individual?
Out of your paycheck.
Okay, so if you're an employee, they take it out of your check, right? What's the maximum you can contribute to a 401k?
10%.
$17,000 is the dollar maximum. Okay. If you're a business owner, what are some ways you can save for retirement?
SEP IRA.
Okay, a SEP IRA, do you know what the maximum you can contribute to that is?
10% of your income, I believe.
Okay, the dollar maximum is $50,000 a year. If you're a business owner, you can do a SEP IRA, you can do a simple IRA, you can do your own 401k. If you had your own 401k, how much could you contribute to it? $50,000. So you have a lot more options to provide the things that you need as an individual just because you're a business owner. Does that make sense? What about health insurance? How can you get health insurance?
As a business or a person?
Let's start with as an individual.
As an individual? Just apply at any insurance company or through an employer.
Okay, so as an individual, you can get insurance from someone like me, do an individual plan. You could go through the government exchange, or if you work for somewhere that offers group benefits, you take the group benefits, right? But as an employee, you take whatever they offer, right? If all they have is a $5,000 deductible, then that's all they have. As a business owner, you get to create the group plan that's offered. So you get to design what kind of benefits are offered. Does that make sense? So as a business owner, you have a lot of tools that you don't necessarily have as an individual. You have a lot of expenses that you can write off too. If you use a part of your house for business, and you'll have to check with your tax preparer on this, but there's a deduction called the business use of home deduction, okay? So there's some deductions that you can take just because you're a business owner that you wouldn't get to take as an individual. So to circle back, if you're, well, let me make one more comment. So I already told you the number one reason businesses fail is because they don't have enough emergency savings, right? To weather the ups and downs of the income. What would you guess the number 2 reasons businesses fail?
Legal problems?
Pardon me?
Legal problems?
Nope, good guess.
Inexperience?
Nope. It's
Money management.
It's managing their money. It's doing the accounting, tracking your expenses. Because as a business owner, there are a lot of deductions that you can take. But as a business owner, you're usually going 100 miles an hour and you don't take the time to do the accounting portion of it. Okay? And so you lose a lot of money by not being efficient with your accounting. So then you don't have the money to buy the inventory, to build your emergency savings. So those are the top 2 reasons businesses fail. Liquidity, having emergency savings, and then managing their accounting. So the key relationships that you should have when you start a business is a good tax preparer or CPA, a good bookkeeper, or if you're going to do your bookkeeping on your own, you need to have a good CPA that's going to work closely with you to make sure you're doing everything right? If you have someone if you're going to a tax preparer and all you're doing is they hand you a form and you list everything and take it in and drop it off and then they call you 2 weeks later to get your return done, that's not a good tax preparer. There's no conversation there to help educate you on what you're missing, what you haven't included, right? Because you're an expert in your business. You're not an expert in accounting. You need a good financial advisor because you need to go through this both personally and for your business. Okay? If you're in partnership, you need to have a good attorney because you need to draw up your agreements, your working agreements ahead of time before you even start. And you need to have an exit strategy no matter what the potential exit is, right? Professor Lambert indicated reviewing your goals once a year. If you and your partner review your goals and all of a sudden you're on a different page, he wants to go one direction, you want to go in another direction, you need to have something outlined how to deal with that. How you can separate, and you may not know everything, you can't plan for everything, but you have to have a system of how to discuss it, how to mediate it, how to work through it. Okay? So, financial advisor, CPA, bookkeeper, and if you're if you're going to be in business with a partner, an attorney. And hopefully you get all those people to work together, right? So they're all giving you congruent advice.
Better work together if it's coming.
Any questions? Thanks, you guys. I've got business cards up here. I'll hang out if you have more questions. Thank you.
There's some internship brochures as well.
Let's give Jodi a big round of applause. This information is very important to you. What I would recommend is that you keep a copy of this and look at it once in a while, and at least annually.
At least annually.
And also, when the video comes out, you want to keep that on file so that you can go back and say, hey, here's something I need to keep an eye on. It's called sharpening the saw. You always want to remember things that are important. Jodi Vawdrey brings important information to who? You. To you. And it will be good for your future to have the financial planner, have the accountant, have the attorney, all these different things that can advise you in these changes that Jodi brought out in your business. And a financial planner is one of the critical elements. So let's give her one more hand and we'll see you next week.
Okay.